So, Jeff Bezos has the details for his divorce. Jeff Bezos, Amazon CEO, and Mackenzie Bezos finalized divorce details. Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder and chief executive, and his wife, Mackenzie Bezos, said on Twitter on Thursday. Wow, that tripped me up. Check that out. I just saw it Tuesday. I don't know why. But they said on Twitter on Thursday they had finalized the details of their divorce. They sent the tweet together. They were like, let's tweet this out. We got this down. All right, so Mr. Bezos will keep 75% of the couple's Amazon stock and all of their ownership of the Washington Post and the Blue Origin Space Company, Miss Bezos wrote. Mr. Bezos will also have sole voting authority over Miss Bezos' Amazon share, according to a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. After the divorce, Miss Bezos will own roughly 4% of Amazon, a stake that was worth $36 billion on Thursday. By keeping 75% of the couple's Amazon shares, or about 12% of the company, Mr. Bezos will likely remain the richest person in the world. Heaven forbid he's not. His remaining stake in the company was worth almost $108 billion on Thursday. And just for the record, Bill Gates, the second wealthiest, is worth $102 billion. So, I'm no divorce attorney, nor can I speak heavily to the details of their particular situation. But based on the sounds of it in this article, it sounds like Jeff Bezos is a bigger psychopath than the person he divorced. Who might not be a psychopath at all. I mean, I don't know anything about her. But it sounds like, based on the way, it sounds like he's keeping pretty much everything, more or less. He's keeping all the voting rights. He's keeping a lot of the shares. He's keeping all the other entities he's invested in. Why? Because he's drunk on power. And I think it sounds like one of those things where she just looked at the offer and realized, I'll never have to worry about anything ever. My kids will never want or need anything. Their kids will never want or need anything. There are billions of dollars at stake here. Yeah, that's fine with me. You know what I mean? It seems like that's the case because her share is so tiny compared to his, based on the summary we just read. But it seems like she may be more of a rational human being than him and isn't obsessed with power and control, and just kind of said, hey, cool, I'll take it. Have fun with your newspaper. Have fun with your... Good luck becoming emperor. Good, because I'm sure at some point when they were in bed together late at night, he said, I could become emperor of this place. All I need to do is invest in water, and I have control of everything. Because I think to reach a level of Jeff Bezos, you have to have a certain amount. And not a certain amount, actually. That's an understatement. You have to have a high amount of just megalomaniacal tendencies. Like, you just have to. Why? When else would you say enough's enough? Why wouldn't you at some point just be like, I'm going to treat my employees right? Because I am still rich beyond comprehension at the end of the day. Hey, it's not right that I pay $0 in taxes. But it's all about power. That's why Bezos doesn't like Trump, by the way. I know there's some people out there that they consider themselves on the left, and they're like, well, Jeff Bezos, he opposes Trump. He's a good guy. No, he's a bad guy. They're both bad guys. And the only reason they oppose each other is because the world is just one big measuring contest to them. That's all it is to them, because at the end of the day, they're still rich. And you have to understand a lot of times when it comes to people with privilege at their level, it's just a game. It's just an ego trip to them. They don't really care about anybody but themselves. And it's just an ego trip. You're a billionaire. You're a billionaire. I mean, billionaires shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have them in the world. But just looking at the settlement, it sounds like, okay, he's drunk on power. He wants to retain it. She said, okay, because I'm never going to want anything ever. And she probably looked him in the eye and said, I hope you just kind of take a moment and breathe and enjoy your life a little bit. But who knows? So anyway, another reason I bring this up to connect this with something else that's going on in the news. Here's something Amazon's doing that some people are protesting. Here's an article about it. Amazon must let shareholders have a say in the selling of controversial facial recognition tech. Oh, fun. Amazon can't block its shareholders from a vote on the company's controversial facial recognition technology. In a letter to the e-commerce behemoth this week, the Securities and Exchange Commission struck down an appeal from Amazon to block voting on proposals related to sales of recognition to government entities. The two proposals would speak to the concerns of shareholders, activists, and civil rights groups over the company's facial recognition tool. The first proposal would stop Amazon from selling its recognition technology to governments unless the board approved of it. The second proposal would require an audit into the technology in order to research recognition's effects on privacy and civil rights. And they don't even want you to vote on this. Amazon doesn't even want to vote on this. Keep in mind. So Amazon has been subject to intense criticism over recognition, particularly concerning who the company has been selling the facial recognition service to. Here who's they've been selling it to. The Seattle-based tech giant has sold recognition to local police forces and the FBI. It even sought to sell its services to ICE. Now, the company continues to deploy recognition to governments despite a study by the ACLU, which found that the technology could not correctly identify members of Congress, and even worse, the study discovered that the facial recognition tech suffered from a racial bias. So they want to vote on this. Now, here's the other thing. It's unlikely that either proposal will receive the support it needs to pass. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos alone owns a sizable share of the company. Probably another reason he didn't want to give that up, because he doesn't want to get the board's approval to sell facial recognition software to governmental agencies. He doesn't want to have their approval. He doesn't even want them to vote on having a say in the matter. But these proposals likely won't go through anyway because he has such a big say, because he retains so much of the company. No wonder he didn't want to give away much of his shares. Well, of course, the money as well, but there's a reason beyond money that and the reason is he wants to make more money. But you know what I mean by that. There's a reason. There was also a strategic reason and a power reason he didn't want to give away more shares, and he wanted to retain most of it. And she just said, "Look, okay." I mean, that's what I think you can be led to conclude. So he doesn't even want them to have a say in it, but chances are the proposal will go nowhere anyway. Hey, we want this proposal. You can't sell it to a government entity without approval. I don't want you to have a say in that. Well, we really want a say in it. All right, well, if you have a say, the proposal is probably not going to go through anyway. Amazon. And they already sold it to the FBI, police forces, and ICE, despite the fact it doesn't correctly identify people. We covered that on the show when it happened. They did a bunch of members of government as a test, and the facial recognition failed. And it also has a bias towards minorities. We covered that on this show. And Jeff Bezos and Amazon, they're still selling it anyway. And they don't want anyone to tell them that they can't. Or Jeff Bezos, rather, doesn't want anyone to tell him that he can't. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So there's some Amazon news. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your